Good evening, ReNEWS English is on air. I'm Sona Tumanyan. Let's start the broadcast with the topic of Armenian prisoners. A group of members of the European Parliament has issued a statement following the negotiations held in Washington between the leaders of Armenia, the US, and Azerbaijan. They expressed hope that Azerbaijani troops will be swiftly withdrawn from the territory of Armenia and that the issue of Armenian prisoners illegally held in Baku will be resolved. The members of the European Parliament also warmly welcomed the result of the meeting between the leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan, which took place in Washington at the invitation of the United States. They emphasized the need to resolve the unresolved issues of the Armenian prisoners of war held in Azerbaijan and the displaced Armenians from Karabakh. It is a great honor for me to welcome everyone to the White House for this historic peace summit between Armenia and Azerbaijan. This is how the video released by Trump from the trilateral meeting at the White House with Pashinyan and Aliyev begins. In the video, Pashinyan and Aliyev say they are thankful to Trump for taking on the role of a peacemaker in the Caucasus. Let's watch a clip from that video.
Today's great achievement is yet another testimony to your global leadership and your legacy as a statesman and a peacemaker on the world stage.
Following the signing of the memorandum, the stream of statements from the U.S. has now stopped. State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce stated during a briefing that the agreement signed in Washington between Armenia and Azerbaijan is important for President Donald Trump, for his administration, and for the entire world. Of course, Bruce, just as Trump noted on the day the memorandum was signed, also mentioned that the Europeans, the French, Putin, and even Biden had tried to bring peace, but only President Trump succeeded with Armenia and Azerbaijan.
Last week, he hosted the leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan at the White House, where they signed a historic joint declaration for peace after decades of bitter conflict and too many lives lost, a landmark achievement for international diplomacy and an end to violence that only President Trump could deliver. President Trump continues to prove that nations across the globe can move beyond long-standing conflicts of the past toward a shared future of peace, prosperity, and success.
By the way, President Donald Trump said on Saturday he was nominating State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce as the next U.S. Deputy Representative to the United Nations. Bruce has been the State Department spokesperson since Trump took office in January. The first president of the Republic of Armenia is in a state of bewilderment. Levon Ter-Petrosyan has responded to the trilateral memorandum signed at the White House. Ter-Petrosyan has refrained from expressing his opinion until the agreement is implemented. The first president's bewilderment is caused by the varied assessments from officials of friendly Iran and especially Russia's almost absolute silence. He notes from his experience that since the restoration of our country's independence, Iran has not only expressed no dissatisfaction or approach towards Armenia, but has also responded positively to all our needs. The international community was not on Armenia's side and consistently adhered to the principle of territorial integrity. This is the narrative that has been voiced from various circles in recent decades. The United States Congress refuted this approach with Resolution 907 adopted in 1992. This suspended military aid to Azerbaijan for its blockade of Armenia and aggressive actions against Artsakh. However, in recent years, U.S. presidents have been bypassing the resolution, but the decision for its final repeat was made on August 8 in Washington. An analysis of the possible consequences of the lifting of the military embargo is in Simon Hovanesyan's report.
Next to Aliyev's fabricated smile, Trump calmly says he is preparing to lift the ban on sending weapons to Azerbaijan.
We're also lifting restrictions on defense cooperation between Azerbaijan and the United States of America. The president, that's a big deal. Unless, is that important to you? I think so. That was pretty good.
It is certainly important after 33 years to repeal Section 907 of the Freedom Support Act adopted by the United States Congress in 1992, which banned direct aid to Azerbaijan until Baku ceased its blockade and aggressive actions against Armenia and Artsakh. After the last war, Azerbaijan blockaded Artsakh for more than a year, subjected its people to starvation, and, through blatant military actions, forced them to abandon their homes. Essentially, by the logic of the American resolution, no Artsakh, no need for an arms embargo.
The situation changed after the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. New security realignments took place, and the resulting situation also forced the U.S. to bypass Section 907. Why? Because in the fight against terrorists, the United States of America began to focus on countries bordering Afghanistan, and not only those, but also nearby countries, which included Azerbaijan. And Azerbaijan became a so-called hub for the United States in the counterterrorism fight.
According to military security expert Siranush Malikian, America has provided aid to Azerbaijan with the justification of protecting Caspian energy infrastructure and using it as a platform in the fight against Iran.
After the war, Azerbaijan has pursued the diversification of its armaments. They have conducted very active military exercises, new military procurements, and so on. And even if the U.S. is not intending, and I am sure this is the case in diplomatic discourse, that this is support against Armenia, it is another question how Azerbaijan can use it.
Says the expert, noting that, for example, a number of officers who were trained in NATO's American schools have participated in the wars waged against Armenia. Taking this circumstance into account, Armenia must keep Azerbaijan's armament under a magnifying glass. Currently, the U.S. provides Azerbaijan with non-offensive weapons, unlike Israel or Turkey, and means for the fight against terrorism. In the future, it could also sell other types of weapons. Military expert Karen Hovanesyan believes that the U.S. plans to use Azerbaijan as a front against Iran.
For Azerbaijan, as of this moment, we can say that this military cooperation, or this military aid and the U.S.-Azerbaijan military cooperation in general, as strange as it may sound, is not a favorable option, because sooner or later, they will drag Azerbaijan into a military operation which naturally does not stem from Azerbaijan's interests, and Azerbaijan will simply be a staging ground for all these operations.
Azerbaijan does not hide its military budget. Even in his New Year's address, Aliyev says they are arming themselves with a huge military budget, supposedly against Armenia's armament. And the donors are Israel, Pakistan, Belarus, and other partner countries. Despite all this, Azerbaijan continues to shout about peace on all possible platforms and demand the demilitarization of Armenia. Simon Hovanesyan, Levon Voskanyan, ReOpen Media.
On August 15, Deputy Prime Minister Meher Grigoryan will participate in a meeting of the Eurasian Intergovernmental Council of the EA-EU countries to be held in Kyrgyzstan. Nikol Pashinyan's spokesperson attributed Nikol Pashinyan's non-participation to the Prime Minister being on vacation. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Alexei Fadeev has stated that Baku is very well aware of Moscow's position on the issue of supplying weapons to Kyiv. He noted, and I quote, "Such actions will only worsen the situation. Our Azerbaijani partners are well aware of the Russian Federation's position on supplying the Kyiv regime with weapons or dual-use humanitarian aid. Such actions do not contribute to a peaceful settlement and only worsen the situation." End of the quote.
The involvement of extra-regional forces in the South Caucasus, in this case, should advance the peace agenda, not create new problems and new dividing lines. It is necessary to take into account factors such as Armenia's membership in the EA-EU and the presence of Russian border guards in the Sunik province. These must be taken into account when developing decisions regarding the unblocking of transport communications in the region.
Russian security forces and the U.S. Secret Service will jointly ensure the security of Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska, TASS reports citing a former agency official, Robert McDonald. According to Russian presidential aide Yuri Ushakov, the choice of Alaska is logical as the economic interests of the Russian Federation and the United States intersect there. CNN reports that Trump and Putin will meet at the Elmendorf-Richardson Air Base in Anchorage, Alaska. The main topic of the negotiations is the search of a long-term peaceful solution to the Ukrainian crisis. It is noted that official Moscow has invited Trump to Russia to hold the next meeting there. Trump recently expressed hope to reach an agreement with Putin on a land swap between Ukraine and Russia, but emphasized that a final agreement regarding Ukraine must be reached directly between Kyiv and Moscow. Ukrainian President Zelensky has called the Alaska meeting a personal victory for Putin. He complained that issues concerning Ukraine are being discussed without the participation of the country's officials. And now, Bayramov Kayakalas and then Bayramov Ararat Mirzoyan. Foreign Minister Ararat Mirzoyan has had a phone conversation with his Azerbaijani counterpart Ceyhun Bayramov. The diplomats discussed the implementation of the joint declaration signed as a result of the Washington summit, as well as confidence-building measures. Regarding regional issues, Mirzoyan and Bayramov exchanged views and reaffirmed their readiness to continue the direct dialogue. The extensive chain of phone calls continues. This time, Lavrov and Rubio have spoken. The officials responsible for the foreign affairs of Russia and the United States discussed details regarding the upcoming meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and the U.S. President Donald Trump to be held in Alaska on August 15. According to the statement, both sides confirmed their commitment to the successful holding of the event. The upcoming Putin-Trump meeting is at the center of the international news feed. Before the meeting, Donald Trump will hold talks via video call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. European leaders as well as the NATO Secretary General will participate in the remote summit. David Genjoyan reports on notable international news and a single video segment.
Overnight, Ukrainian drones attacked Volgograd. Debris from downed drones fell on the roof of a residential building and on the territory of an oil refinery, causing damage. But there were no casualties. Russian air defense forces destroyed 46 drones, 11 of which were in the Volgograd region. The city's airport temporarily suspended flights and residents were temporarily evacuated. On the night of August 12-13, Russia launched 4 Iskander-M-type ballistic missiles and 48 Shahed-type drones towards Ukraine. Russian forces developed a rapid assault in the Donetsk region, penetrating up to 10 kilometers deep into Ukrainian defenses in the direction of Dobropilya. The Ukrainian side, however, denies a large-scale breach of the front. Yesterday, Israeli forces conducted a special operation in Syria's Quneitra Governorate, from where a patrol group retreated towards Hadar. The Israel Defense Forces set up temporary checkpoints near Tel Ahmar Hill and the village of Al-Asba, and in other settlements prohibited residents from leaving their homes. The operations took place in the southern and central parts of the governorate. Israel is holding negotiations with South Sudan regarding the resettlement of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, according to Arab sources. According to media outlets, the details of the negotiations are not yet clear. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said he wants to implement U.S. President Donald Trump's vision of resettling the majority of Gaza's population through voluntary migration. Palestinians, human rights groups, and most of the international community have rejected these proposals, considering them a program of forced deportation in violation of international law. The Philippine military has accused China of a confrontation in the disputed waters of the South China Sea when Chinese Navy and Coast Guard vessels tried to drive away Philippine Coast Guard ships and fishermen. The Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs stated that China's actions are a threat to the Philippines. The Chinese side used water cannons to drive away the Philippine vessels. The U.S., as an ally of the Philippines, condemned what it termed China's reckless actions. Mexico has handed over 26 cartel members to the U.S. to prevent the U.S. from raising tariffs on Mexican imports. This move, a significant event for the U.S., marks the second time Mexico has extradited cartel members as part of the fight against drugs. Those handed over are linked to major drug cartels. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has shown a willingness to cooperate on security issues, but has rejected proposals for U.S. military intervention. David Genjoyan, ReOpen Media.
They say the ring is tightening around Israel, and Iran has something new to say. Iran's Minister of Defense, Brigadier General Aziz Nasirzadeh, has declared that Iran's armed forces are monitoring the enemy's actions and are ready to confront any new aggression by the United States and Israel. Nasirzadeh made the statement during a meeting with a delegation led by General Mahfonia, the chief of the South African National Defense Force. The Iranian minister praised the South African government for condemning the aggression of Israel and the U.S. against Iran and for filing a lawsuit against Israel in international courts. By the way, it was revealed yesterday that the president of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, will be in Armenia from August 18 to 21. As part of this visit, a business forum will be held on August 19, in which representatives from the industrial, road construction, agricultural, supply, pharmaceutical, engineering services, and light industry sectors will participate from the Iranian side, reports the Ministry of Economy. It is expected that Masoud Pezeshkian will also discuss the details of the Washington negotiations, their results, and agreements with Armenia's top leadership. The humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza is worsening day by day. The death toll from malnutrition caused by the food crisis has reached 227, including 103 children. The Ministry of Health of the Palestinian enclave reported today. In the last 24 hours, the ministry has recorded 5 deaths due to starvation and malnutrition, including 2 children. International media outlets are reporting on another alleged crime committed by Israel. 6 journalists were killed as a result of the targeting of a journalist's tent. The Israel Defense Forces, without providing evidence, claimed that one of them was a member of Hamas.
Well-known Al Jazeera journalist Anas al-Sharif has been killed as a result of an Israeli strike. Another 5 journalists were killed in Gaza by the same strike. They were working in a tent designated for journalists located near Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital when the strike claimed their lives. Al-Sharif consistently reported from the enclave's hotspots, presenting to the world the suffering of the local population, the massacres, and the humanitarian crisis. Al Jazeera and international press organizations have condemned the killing of the journalists and called it intentional, highlighting the dangers that exist for journalists in Gaza. Since October 7, 2023, more than 230 journalists have been killed in Gaza, making this conflict the deadliest for journalists in modern history.
What happened that night was this. I was in the tent that was right next to the one targeted. Suddenly, we heard the roar of an explosion and saw flames erupting. My colleagues around me were injured and I sustained bruises.
However, the Israeli army has stated that it eliminated a Hamas cell leader with an airstrike who was operating as an Al Jazeera journalist. This baseless accusation was condemned by the Qatari television network. International organizations and representatives of other media outlets operating in Gaza also do not agree with the Israeli version.
The occupiers think that by killing journalists, the truth will be silenced and the crimes will not be exposed. But I say that your bombs directed at us only increase our resolve and determination to convey the voice of our people suffering in Gaza, and we will show your crimes against our Palestinian people in Gaza. This crime adds to the long list of crimes committed against Palestinian journalism. Since October 7, 2023, more than 230 journalists have been killed in the largest massacre against the press. In no local or international conflict, not even during the First or Second World Wars, has such a large number of journalists ever been killed. This is yet another crime. We are now paying the price for keeping Gaza's voice loud and for filling the screens with the images and voices of the journalists whom Israel is killing. The world must now step forward to hold Israel accountable for the occupation and to stop the killings of civilians and journalists in Gaza.
Experts state that the slaughter of journalists that took place in Gaza is a most serious blow to press freedom and international human rights norms. This tragedy highlights the dangers present in Gaza and the need for immediate intervention to prevent such war crimes. David Junjoyan, ReOpen Media.
I'm Sona Tumanya. Stay informed with ReNews. Goodbye.